Let's take a look at Pasuk Perak Aleph, Pasuk Mem Dalet, page 946. So Moshe Rabbeinu is still talking about the various, what do you call it, going through repeating the history. And then he says like this, right after the Meraglev, if you remember, let's a little historical reminder, right after the Jewish people were told that 40 years in the desert, you're going to wander 40 years in the desert, the Jewish people say, oh no, let's go in. And they try going in, and the Amoris come out and they smite the Jewish people. Moshe Rabbeinu said, don't go, it's not going to work. They said, no, we got to do tshuva. We're going to show we want to go in. And again, righteous, nothing like doing a mitzvah. Right? Nothing like turning it into a mitzvah. No, Moshe Rabbeinu says, you're wandering 40 years in the desert. They say, no, we're sorry, we're going to go in. And Moshe Rabbeinu says, don't go. And Moshe Rabbeinu doesn't go with them. They try climbing the mountain to go into Israel. The Amoris come out and they smite them. That was what happened. What was their rationale? Their rationale was, listen, we want to show, there's no better way to show how much we want to go into the land of Israel than by showing, let's go into the land of Israel. But sometimes in life it's too late. You missed it. You missed the boat. You had a chance. A day late and a dollar short, as they say. A day late and a dollar short. I wish I would have known. Yeah, well, you didn't know. Now you know. And now you're going to think about it for 40 years. Okay? That's the backdrop of what he's about to say to them here. So take a look, picking up from Pasuk 42. Pasuk 41, sorry. Vatanu, it's right in the middle of the page, maybe a little bit past the middle of the page. About 9/17 of the way down. Vatanu, you responded. It's on Pasuk Mem Aleph, right in the middle. Vatanu, you responded. Vatobru Elai, you said to me, Chotonu la Hashem, we have sinned. Anachnu na'aleh, we will go up. V'nilchamnu, and we'll battle. Kechol asher tziva Hashem Elokeinu. See, notice how they're doing this as a form of tshuva. First they admit, we sinned, you're right, we sinned. Well, once you admit your sin, so then you're good to go, right? We realize what we did wrong. And now we're going in and we're going to battle like Hashem said. Vatachgeru ishas klei bechkamto, you took your weapons, vatahinu lo sahara, and you made an effort to go up the mountain. Now, I'm just curious, how does ArtScroll translate the word vatahinu in verse 41? Everybody who took his weapons, you were ready to ascend the mountain. Vayomer Hashem Elai, God says to me, Emor lahem, say to the Jewish people, Lo salu v'lo silochamu, don't go up and don't battle. Ki eineni b'kirvechem, I'm not in your midst. V'lo sinagful ifte'evechem, and you won't be smitten. And Moshe Rabbeinu says, V'adaber aleichem v'lo shamatem, I spoke to you, you didn't listen. V'tamru es pi Hashem v'tazidu v'talor, you disobeyed God, you went up to the mountain. That is a common theme in Torah. A very common theme. You know how common it is? When's the first time this happens? When's the first time this happens?
The whole disobeying God?
Yeah. This is the very first time it happened. By where?
Where Eve eats.
That's right, where Chava eats the fruit. It's the first time it ever happens. The commentaries go to town. What was Adam Harishon thinking? What was Adam thinking? God said don't, and he did. Now what was he thinking? Do you know what he was thinking? You know what he was thinking? Adam was thinking, listen, I could serve God without an evil inclination. But you know what? I want to show real devotion to God. I want to get some of that evil inclination in me and then overcome it. That would be serving God great. That would be the best way to serve God. Right? At a deeper level, that's how the commentaries explain it. That Adam was a premeditated act of, let's put myself in a situation where I could serve God even better. So what was wrong? Only one thing. Only one thing that was wrong. Which was what? God said don't. It's the only thing that was wrong. Everything about what you did was great, but God said don't. God said don't. That was the only thing you did wrong. So here Moshe Rabbeinu said, but you rebelled against the Kodesh Baruch Hu. You rebelled against the Kodesh Baruch Hu. Kodesh Baruch Hu said don't. There's a famous story. I think I mentioned this once. There's a story about a guy who has a messenger, and he says to this messenger, "I want you to bring a message to a certain king." I've heard one of my peers, another king in another country, and I'm giving you an order right now. No matter what happens, do not make any wagers with this king. Strange order from the king. The king says, okay, I'm not going to make any wagers. So he goes to this other king and he says, Excellency, I have a message from my king for you. He gives him the envelope. And the king looks at him, he says, you know, if I didn't know better, I'd say you have a tattoo on your chest. And the guy says, no, I don't have a tattoo on my chest. He says, you know, you look like the type of guy who has a tattoo. He says, I do not have a tattoo on my chest. He goes, I will bet $1 million for your king that you have a tattoo on your chest. But I'm telling you, I don't. There's $1 million for your king. He says, listen, he told me not to enter any wagers, but this is like taking candy from a baby. You know, $1 million for my king. He says, yeah, okay, I'll bet you. He says, but how do you want me to prove? He says, just take off your shirt. We'll see. The guy says, you sure? He says, yeah. He said, okay. Takes off his shirt. There's no tattoo. The king says to him, $1 million cash for your king. Sorry, my bad. I lost the bet. Guy's happy as a lark. Comes back to the king. He says, Excellency. And he says, did you deliver the envelope? I said, I delivered it. Does anything else happen? He says, yes. Great news. I won $1 million for you. He says, how did you win $1 million? King's already getting nervous. He says, how did I win $1 million? Because he said I had a tattoo on my chest, and I told him I didn't. He said, so how did you win the $1 million? I said, nothing, no problem. I took off my shirt, and I showed him I don't have a tattoo. He says, you fool. He says, why? I told you not to enter any wagers with that king. I made a wager with that king for $10 million. He said he could get one of my loyal subjects to pull his shirt off in front of the entire royal court, and I said he can't. You idiot, you cost me $9 million because you didn't follow my instructions. So the rule in life is, don't do what you want to do what you're told to do. That's the flaw of the Jewish people. This is a Chafetz Chaim's mashal. Chafetz Chaim says, sometimes in life we got a great idea. Your idea is only great if it's what HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants you to do. If it's not what Hashem wants you to do, it's not a great idea. That's the rule in life. So the guy says, so Moshe Rabbeinu says, Vayetze ha'amori ha'yoshev b'har. Now look at this pasuk very carefully, gentlemen. Pasuk Mem Daled. You see how timeless the Torah is. Vayetze ha'amori ha'yoshev b'har. The Amoris who are dwelling on the mountain came out. Hahuli kraschem. Vayirdefu eschem kasher tasena advarim. They chased you like the bees. They chased you like a swarm of bees. Vayaksu eschem b'seir ad chorma. They smote you in seir until chorma, but chorma means to the point that you were completely wiped out. Now take a look at Rashi. Take a look at Rashi over in Pasuk Mem Daled. Kasher ta'asena hadvorim. It's a left-hand column, second line from the top. What is the comparison to the bees? So Rashi says something very interesting here. Kasher ta'asena hadvorim. Ma hadvora azu, just as a bee, kishihimaka is adam, and a bee stings somebody. Miad mesa, right? Doesn't a bee die when it stings you because it breaks its stinger? Afheim kshayu nogim bachem miad mesem. As soon as they touched you, they died. That's a very interesting situation. What happened to the Jewish people? The Jewish people died. What happened to the Amoris that killed them? They also died. So that means that even when God was upset with the Jewish people, the enemies didn't get away with it. Okay? Good. I'll ask the question, isn't that ridiculous? Isn't that ridiculous? You got a situation. I mean, what happened? I don't understand the Amoris.
Then the Jews don't have to die.
What's that?
He killed the
The Amoris came out and smote them. But when the Amoris smote, the Amoris died also. Isn't that ridiculous? I don't understand the Amoris. What happened? The first Amori stabs a Jew. Stabs a Jew and he drops dead on the spot. The second Amori stabs a Jew and drops dead on the spot. Killed the Jew, but he dropped dead. I understand. Didn't you pick up a pattern? Is it really worth killing a Jew if you're going to die? What's the answer? Yeah. And you don't have to look too far because we have it in our day and age. Aren't there suicide bombers who are willing to kill Jews? They're willing to die. They're willing to die and kill the Jews. Christians were never willing to do that. The Christians never did that. The Christians never willing to die and take out a couple of Jews. We don't find that anywhere. The Muslims? Take out a Jew. Go up to your Olam Haba over there, your 70 presents waiting for you up there in heaven. Right? And you see that they're willing to do it to this day. So you see, so a person looks at the Torah and says, "Oh, who'd be willing to kill somebody and die?" We don't have to look too far. What's remarkable here is if you get somebody who comes along, somebody shows cynicism to the Torah. Come on! Oh, who would kill somebody and be willing to die the same thing? You understand how timeless the Torah is? What's the Torah talking about over here? Torah about dwellers in the land of Canaan. And the Jew hatred is such that they're willing to die. Okay, so now it's caught on all over the world. They blow themselves up. There's suicide bombers all over the world. But the fact that there's a suicide bomber, you see that it's not something that is beyond our experience. Okay, now take a look at Perek Beis Pasuk Tes. Okay, this brings us to a very tricky area of Torah. So it says like this in Pasuk, it's page 948, about 5 lines from the bottom page. Thanks, Yisrael. 948, 5 lines from the bottom of the page. Vanefen vanavor derech midbar Moav. We turned, Moshe Rabbeinu again is going over to history. We went by the way of the desert of Moab. Vayomer Hashem Elai, God says to me, Al totzar es Moav, don't torture Moav. Ve'al tisgor bam milchama, don't wage war. Ki lo eten lechem artso Yerusha, I'm not going to give you a Yerusha of their land. Ki livnei Lot nasati es or Yerusha, that area is going to be given to the descendants of Lot, and you're not going to get part of that land. Now take a look at Rashi. Ve'al tisgor bam milchama, it's the left column, 5 lines from the top. Don't. How does the article translate? Al tisgor. See, some of these words are so tricky to translate in English. How does he translate it in verse 9? Don't distress of, and you should not provoke war. Ooh, that's a good word. The al tisgor v'amacham. Don't provoke war. Says Rashi, lo asar lehem al Moav ela milchama. God did not prohibit anything against Moab. He only prohibited war. Aval miyarim osam. They frightened them. V'nirim lahem keshem mezuyanim. The Jewish people passed by armed to the teeth. Get the Moabites a little nervous, but don't fight with them. Just walk past examining your swords a little bit. Give them the heebie-jeebies. Lefichach siv. Therefore, it says later on, Vayogar Moav mipnei ha'am. Moab was afraid of the people. As the Jewish people came by Moab, there was a military demonstration. You ever see the Russians when they have these parades? The Russians have the parades with their missiles. I saw a picture of the Chinese parade with the Chinese army with their missiles. Pretty intimidating. You know, it's not a great thing to see. You know, you get a little nervous. Because the Jewish people they would take some booty, they would help themselves to Moabite possessions. Pay attention very carefully, gentlemen. Aval bivnei Ammon. Ne'amar ve'al tisgor bam. By the Bnei Ammon, it says, don't provoke them at all. Shum girui. Don't get the Ammonites. Not only you can't fight war with them, don't even provoke them. Don't even tease them. Why? Bischar tznius imam shelo pirsam alavia. Because of what their mother's modesty, that she did not make publicize what happened with the father. Kimosha asasa bechira, like the older one did. Shekora Shem bena Moav. Klomar Me'av, from the father. What story is this referring to, gentlemen? This goes all the way back to the story of Lot and his daughters in the cave. Lot is running away. They think the world is being destroyed. He's got the 2 daughters in the cave, and the girls are convinced the whole world's being destroyed. They say all they see is their entire world is being overturned. They have no way of knowing it's not being overturned anywhere else. So what do they decide to do? We've got to keep the world going. Let's produce children from our father. So they get their father drunk, which begs a question, by the way. Where did you get the wine from? What's that? You got to have a supply when you travel. In other words, your world is being destroyed. Everything is, you're running away from home, and what you do is you grab a bottle of Blue Label on the way out. Hey boys, one for the road. You know, and you grab a bottle. What else? You're 30. You're going to have a bottle of. Okay, so it's the first thing you would grab, because anyway I'm going. I may as well go happily. Listen, things are looking bad. I may as well at least have a drink before I go. Okay. Okay, absolutely nothing wrong with it, but it's pretty unlikely that they grab the barrel of wine on their way out of town. You're running for your life. The last thing you think about is your wine. Leave the jewelry, leave everything behind, grab a barrel of wine. So the Gemara says one of two choices. One was that they ended up in a cave where wine used to be stored. Just to store wine in caves, that's one opinion. The other opinion is the wine got there miraculously. Now, either way, You see a hand. How providential that we ran into a cave that happened to have wine stored in it, right? And if it wouldn't be for that, then it would be that it was an absolute miracle, the wine approach. What does that tell you? Either approach tells you what?
There's a hand of God.
There's a hand of God here, which makes you realize, God wanted this to happen. For some reason, God wanted this to happen. So they get their father drunk, which has a halachic status, by the way, because the Torah says that Lot he didn't know what happened, not when it happened and not after it happened. He was so drunk, it's called shichruso shalot. It's a status of drunkenness. You're so drunk. Normally, a person who gets drunk and does damage, you're liable for the damage that you cause. If you're drunk, being drunk, it's even in our society, if you drive drunk and cause an accident, no exception, no excuse, well, I didn't know because I was drunk. You should have taken precautions in advance, and you're still responsible. The halacha says, unless you got to the point where you're drunk like Lot, somebody who's drunk like Lot is absolved from halachic obligations. How drunk is that? You've probably never seen it. Maybe you have. Maybe you're a roommate in college. I don't know. But you're probably drunk for Lot is you don't know where you're completely gone. I don't know exactly what that level is. I had a guy here who told me once he had a friend in college who was such an alcoholic. He said this guy everywhere he went he had beer. He said he was alcohol. He had beer in his car, beer in his room, he said in his Cheerios in the morning he used to drink his Cheerios with beer instead of milk. He had Cheerios with beer. So that's what he said. That was the guy was just drinking all day long. All he did was drink beer. So there's something called shichruso shalot. So the first one gets pregnant. He has a child, and she names him Moav, which is a play on the Hebrew words May Av, from my father. Ooh, that's indiscreet. That is so indiscreet. The second one says Ben Ami. He's my nation, or the son of my nation. So the Torah says, wow, you know what? The Moavites, whose ancestor mother was indiscreet, them you could tease, you could torture them, flash the swords, polish your cannon as you drive past. The Ammonites, who the mother was so discreet, don't mess with them. Don't even tease them. Okay? On the other hand, what happens from the Moavites? What happens from the Moavites? They get Mashiach. Mashiach comes from Moab, from the first one. The second one doesn't have Mashiach. So there are two lessons here. Lesson number one is she took the initiative. The first one took the initiative. She got Mashiach. But just because you do something good in life, while you're doing something good, you are accountable for the parts of your action which were not good. Person has to know when you do a mitzvah, and even when you do an avera, when you do a mitzvah, you could do a mitzvah and you're going to get rewarded for 98% of the mitzvah. 2% of the mitzvah you're going to get punished for. So you go out and you help a little old lady cross the street, and while you're at it, you take her up to her house and you set her up. But part of your mind is thinking, you know what, I think I'm a tzaddik. Oh, for those few moments of haughtiness, you're going to get punished. And you could do, what are you being haughty for?
Okay.
You're arrogant.
You said old lady.
An old lady. But you're doing a great thing. But while you're doing your great thing, you think to yourself, I'm a tzaddik. Oh, for that. What's that?
Everyone would have done it. Anyone would have done it, right?
Would anyone have done it? Not necessarily. You did it. So you're going to be rewarded for the thing that you did. Not everybody would do the mitzvah that you do. I'm sure you do mitzvahs that other people wouldn't do. You see a little old lady on a hot day and you help her carry her packages for a couple of blocks. It's not so easy. But while you're doing it, you're thinking to yourself, or maybe while you're doing it, you say, well, you know what, I deserve a little bit. I see she's got some cookies in the bag over there. Help myself to some cookies. So now you're stealing. You're helping her, but you're stealing. So for helping her, you'll be rewarded. For stealing, you'll be punished. You understand? There's no such thing as, okay, but it's a mitzvah. Everything's okay once I'm doing the mitzvah. It doesn't work that way. For the things that are inappropriate, you did a mitzvah. You brought Mashiach into the world. And you're going to have Rus as your descendant. And David HaMelech is going to be the king. Because you took the initiative. That's great. Pat you on the back. On the other hand, you were indiscreet. For that, your children are going to be punished. For that, your children are going to be punished. The Jewish people are going to be able to torment them and give them a couple of sleepless nights as they pass through because they see the Jewish weapons. Remember, the Moavites don't know the Jews are told not to attack them. The Moavites don't know that.
The Amorites?
What?
The Amorites?
Nobody knows that. But at least the Amoris, at least the what do you call it? The what do you call it? The Ammonites don't have those sleepless nights. I once saw a program on TV when I was probably about 19, 20. They had a program, they may have it now, it's called Scared Straight. Did you ever see that? To this day, it's one of the most powerful things I ever saw. They took a group of teenagers. They're about 20 teenagers who are gang members. They're already getting in trouble, right? They're already starting trouble, already in and out. They're brushes with the law. They're already bad. So they have a program. They bring them to a federal penitentiary, and they bring out guys who are lifers. These are guys who are in there for murder and the worst crimes. And the guys are sitting there, and we're watching this on TV. I'm watching this on TV. They got these teenagers sitting in a line. And they bring out the first prisoner. Looks like a rough character. He comes out, and he says, listen, guys, prison isn't what you think it is, and it's not glamorous, and don't mess your life up. And these guys have worked out an arrangement with the prison, what do you call it? They'll get better treatment, for going along and helping them out. Okay, so the first guy comes out, he gives them the whole drasha. Guys, stay out of prison, it's not cool. Okay. The second guy comes out, looks worse than the first. Also gives them the same sort of talk. Then they bring out the third guy. There's the third guy. Third guy's about 6'6", a black guy, about 6'6", he's got one eye. Like this. And the guy comes out and he says, hey. And he uses a different approach than the first. He says, hey, if you guys end up in this place, I'm going to rip you to pieces. I'm going to rip you to shreds. You're going to end up in my place. You're on my turf. I'm going to rip you to pieces. You stay out of it. And the guy went straight to the, these kids are sitting there. Now, these are tough kids, right? These are tough kids who are supposed to, they're all looking at him like this. They're just looking at him. And also the guy's talking, you know what I'm going to do to you when you get here? I will rip you apart from limb to limb. And all of a sudden he stops and he goes to the biggest kid sitting on the end of the line. Now, this kid, leather jacket, looks like he's a member of a gang. And he walks up to him and he puts his face about 2 inches from the kid's face, with his eye. And he puts his face and says, you're laughing at me. And the kid's like this. You're laughing at me. I'm on TV. I'm watching on TV and I'm scared. And the kid, he says to the kid, I could kill you right now. There's a garden site over here. What are you going to do? Put me in jail for another life sentence? I can rip you to shreds right now. And the kid's like, And all of a sudden you see here's a gang member. Tears come down here. He's crying. He's crying. I'm sure he had to change his pants afterwards also. He's crying. Kid's crying over there. The guy said, they did follow-up statistics on these kids. In the next 2 years, I think one of them got a parking ticket. I did worse. I got 9 parking tickets. I used to park in front of hydrants. These kids were already got it worked. Why? Because when I'm going to a movie with my friends and you got a driver while all the other fools are driving around the block 10 times looking for a parking space, I would park in front of the hydrant. There was always a space there. And I figured like this, what's the worst going to happen to me? The worst could happen to me is there's a fire in this house. They'll chop my car apart trying to get to the hydrant, right? That's what he used to do. Okay. Now, there hasn't been a fire in front of this house in the last 200 years. What are the odds that in the next 2 hours, this house is going to go on fire? Right? The odds are in my favor. What'll they do? They'll give me a ticket. So I won't pay the ticket, that's all. Put it in my glove compartment. And I used to park and always had a space. Sometimes I didn't get a ticket, and sometimes I did get a ticket. And I put it in my glove compartment. That was all. And I accumulated them. And I saw the movies, and I had a great seat at the movie. I never walked around the block. Then when I left to Israel, my parents had to sell my car. So I get a call I came to Yeshiva, I get a call from my parents. David, my mom says, David, we found some parking ticket, about 9 parking tickets in your glove car. I said, yeah, I forgot about them. She goes, well, we paid them. Oh, Mom, you don't pay parking tickets. My mother was nervous they wouldn't let me back in the country. The FBI would be looking for me because of my 9 parking tickets. So they paid my parking. They paid my parking tickets. Yeah. So it's scary. Their children are scared. You're going to lose some sleep at night. They're scared straight over there, the Moabites. Why? Because of a mother being indiscreet. See what the commentaries say? 2 lessons over here. Number 1, you learn the importance of speech. There's a concept called nikius. Speak clean. Be discreet. Be refined. Don't be coarse. Don't be crude. She was crude. She named the kid. That's where the kid came. You were a little bit coarse. You're a little bit indiscreet. Your descendants are going to be punished. That's number 1. Number two, Do you know that the Gemara says that the Torah, instead of referring to animals as non-kosher, the Torah doesn't call them tameh. Tameh means non-kosher. The Torah refers to them as the ones that are not tahor. We don't say something is treif. We say something is not kosher. It's a more refined form of speech. You don't say, I hate this food. See, this is not, I dislike it. This is not my favorite food. You try to always soften it. It's a very difficult task because we talk a lot. It's a certain refinement in speech. Now, the younger one was more refined. So her children, on the other hand, the older one took the initiative of the mitzvah, so she gets a greater reward on that aspect. Okay, that's number one. Number two, did you ever hear the concept of zechus avos? You have a merit from your ancestors. There's a merit from your ancestors. There's something called zechus avos. Why did one person became a Baal Tshuva and another guy didn't? They're both secular Jews, both live in California. One day one guy was inspired and one wasn't. Why is that? Don't know. We have no way of knowing. One thing we do know, there could have been a bubby somewhere who used to say Tehillim. She said Tehillim for her family, and it has an influence on her descendant a few generations later. The bubby has a merit. There's somebody has a zechus watching over you. And you never know how that's zechus. We only know there's a concept called zechus avos. We are benefiting from the fact that Yitzchak Avinu was willing to be slaughtered at the Akedah. We call that as a merit when we go to Yom Kippur, Rosh Hashanah. We're always talking about, please Hashem, remember the merit of Avram who was willing to sacrifice himself. What's got to do with us? The answer is there's something called zechus avos. We have a merit. The Jewish people have a merit of zechus avos. And we never know when that zechus is. Parent says a tefillah right now. You may not see the rewards right now. You cry out and say Tehillim now. 3 generations later, you see the zechus. That's the idea of zechus avos. We had 2 guys here in the yeshiva once. Came on a program. 2 friends, both of them like Ivy Leaguers or very fancy universities. Okay. At the end of the program, it was like a 6-week program, whatever it was. One of them decided to extend his ticket. The other one didn't. The other one went off. He said to his friend, "You're crazy, Mike. Why are you staying here? These guys are, go back to college." He says, "No, I want to stay around the yeshiva." And they both had basically the same. They're both intelligent, same math, both going to become professionals. One stayed and the other one didn't. So one of the rabbis here, I heard this from the rabbi. One of the rabbis here pulled him aside. He said, "Mike, can I ask you a question? Why did you stay and Jeff left?" He says, "I'll tell you. I don't know. We both come from upper middle class families, lower upper class, upper middle class families. We both have good families, good this, that. I don't know what's going through Jeff's mind, but I'll tell you one thing. I was raised secular. My grandfather was a religious Jew. He died when I was about 8 years old. But I remember when my grandfather came by, he used to have his tallis. He was religious, and I would go to shul with him. I would go under his tallis with him, and I like going under my grandpa's tallis. I would go under the tallis with him. I came to the yeshiva. I went into the Beis Medrash. There was a certain smell in the Beis Medrash over here, reminded me of my grandfather's tallis. Just reminded me, it triggered off some memory that I hadn't contacted since then. My grandfather's tallis. That's why I decided to stay. So he's putting it on the grandfather's tallis. I put it on the grandfather's. He found the direct cause. I think it's more than that. I think it's what is called a zechus avos. The grandfather has a certain merit. Put something into his grandchild. Even my own grandson. My grandson's 1. You know what his first words are now? Zadie. He doesn't even say Zadie. He says 80. He doesn't say Bubby. My wife spends all day with him. She cleans him, changes his diapers, everything. She says it's not fair. I walk into the house, 80. And my wife is like, "Hey, what's going on here? I'm with the kid all day. I'm doing everything." Yeah, there's a big difference. She bathes him. She changes his diaper. She feeds him. I come in. I dip my finger in sugar. And I let him lick the sugar off my finger. And if I don't have sugar available, I take some red jelly. I dip it in. He knows 80. When I come in, I always tell my wife, "Listen, Zadies are cooler than Bubbies. What can I tell you? It's 80. He knows. He made the connection real good. They're smart. They're intelligent. And my daughter comes over, "Daddy, don't. The sugar's like, oh, be quiet. Tell me what to do with my grandson." The kid sees me, he lights up. Of course, Zadie's fun. And I say it shamelessly. My grandfather, my Zadie is Zechona Livracha. We were living in Israel as a kid. I was about 5 years old. My Zadie came. He was a frail old man from Europe. He came to America. He didn't have an easy life. So he came to Israel. And in the morning, he would cut up an orange for me. I was 5 years old. He'd cut up an orange into little pieces. They'd take some sugar, and he'd sprinkle a little bit of sugar on the oranges. That was what he made me. That's about the only thing he could do. He'd cut up an orange, and he'd sprinkle sugar on it. And I would eat this orange with the sugar, okay. I tried for years to do it for myself. It never tasted the same. It just never tasted the same. Eventually, I just gave up. I didn't do it anymore. Because it was missing one ingredient. It was missing zaidi. That's what it was missing. It was missing one ingredient. My bubby, my mother, that was my dad's father. My mother's mother, Zichron Lebracha, she used to make, she also a European lady. She used to cook for Shabbos. Nothing fancy, nothing, just European cooking. She used to make this chicken soup. It looked like an oil spill. Right, you look at the chicken soup, it had the oil globs floating at the top, and she used to put in noodles in the chicken soup. I've never tasted chicken soup like that in my life. At the fanciest hotels or restaurants, because it's missing the bubby ingredient. The Gemara says that one of the Romans, I think he asked Rabbi Akiva, I think it was either Rabbi Akiva or Rabbi Gamliel. He said, I had the food that I ate by you yesterday. He ate by the Jew on Shabbos. He said, I tried making the same food and it doesn't take the same. Why not? He said, we have a special ingredient that's called Shabbos. A special ingredient. It's called Shabbos. Without the ingredient, you can't make the food. And gentlemen, I want to tell you something. Make a cholent during the week. I don't care what kind of cholent you make. I don't care how good the cholent is. They make really good cholent. By mirror, you could get some good cholent, and you get a Yerushalmi guy with a vest who makes the cholent for you, and with stirring it up with it. And goodness knows what he puts in there. It will never taste as good as Shabbos cholent. Ever, ever, ever. No, because there's a special ingredient called Shabbos. The special ingredient. The food's better and it's got a different taste. That's what a bubby's Tehillim could do for you for later generations. Okay. One more point. Take a look at Per Gimel Pasuk Tes. This is a remarkable. Well, you know what I'm impressed. I'm impressed by the timelessness of Torah. Per Gimel Pasuk Tes on page 954. So it's talking about Vanikach. It's right in the middle. It's about 10 lines from the top of the page. Pasuk Zayin Ches. You see on the side it says Zayin/Ches. So it says, Vanikach ba'isa yisa'aretz b'yad shnei malchei Amor. We took the land from the two Amorite kings, Asher be'erei Yarden, minachal Arnon ad har Hermon, from the valley of Arnon, the plains of Arnon, until the Mount Hermon. Even nowadays, we have the Mount Hermon. That's where everybody goes skiing. So just take a look at Rashi very quickly. One more puzzle. Sidonim yikru leChermon Sirion. The Sidonim call Hermon Sirion, ve'Amori call Snir. Okay. Take a look at Rashi over. 11 last Rashi. We'll end with this. It's on the right column, 4 lines from the bottom. Sidonim yikru leChermon. Uvemokom acher omer ve'ad har Sion hu Hermon. Harelo arba shemos. It had 4 names. This mountain had 4 names. Lama hutzrach alichta. Why did the Torah have to write it? Lahagid shevach shel Eretz Yisrael. To tell you the praise of the land of Israel. Shehayu arba malchuyos misparos bekach. 4 kingdoms took pride. Zomer Sal Shmi Kari. One says they'll be called on my name. Zomer Sal Shmi Kari. The others will be called on him. Everybody's fighting over the land of Israel. Again, the timelessness of Torah. Isn't it a little bit distorted how much focus there is on the land of Israel? 200,000, 50,000 people are killed in Syria, and you got people getting killed in Nigeria. You got people getting killed in Afghanistan and in Kabul. Everywhere around the world, people are getting killed. One Jew builds an apartment in Reches Shofat, in the White House. The White House has a statement to say about it. Right? One Jew threw a stone. One Jew shot a Palestinian who deserved to get shot. In the whole world, the United States Security Council meets. Well, you don't notice their bodies lying all over Syria. Syria looks like a parking lot. That you don't notice? That you don't know. Only Israel. The answer is the whole world's always focused on Israel. You see, even then, every king wanted a piece of the action in Israel. No, it's our mountain. No, it's our mountain. Wait, you've got to have mountains where you live. You got to come to Mount Hermon in Israel. The whole world wants Israel. The whole world wants Israel. All right, gentlemen.